Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soul Power Ministries Love 101, where we talk about all things love and all things spiritual. I am Reverend Lane Cobb, and I am an interfaith minister and spiritual life coach. And today I have with me Emma Beecken, who is one of the most loving people I know. And that's no joke. I absolutely love her. I'm thrilled to death to have her here. So, Emma, welcome.
Thank you, Lane. I'm glad to be here with you.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So before we get started, I'd like to read your bio, if I can, so people know who's talking. All righty. And
Yeah.
so Emma Beecken is an actively ordained interfaith, interspiritual minister
Yeah.
through One Spirit Learning Alliance. She is also an integrated energy therapy practitioner and master instructor, traditional Usui master teacher, Kundalini Reiki master teacher, certified life coach, holy cow, and holds a Master of Science in Education as well as a certificate of advanced study in leadership from SUNY Cortland.
Yeah.
She has been an educator in New York State public schools for over 30 years. Emma is the owner practitioner of Beacon of Light in Elmira Heights, New York. Welcome, Emma. I am beyond excited, as you can probably tell with reading that.
And I'm honored that you asked me to come speak with you.
Well,
it's always a joy.
the honor's mine.
Mutual Adoration Society here.
It always works, man. It always works. Light
It's the
in
love.
the world. Yeah. So, as you know, I started this interview series to offer a tool for people to learn some spiritual concepts that they could apply during this time of great change, the challenge that we're having with the spread of the coronavirus across the globe, and also that they could use when this is finally over, which we pray will be sooner than later.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So what I and just invite you to do is let's have a conversation about some spiritual tools or concepts that you feel would be useful or that you have used yourself at this time. I know you have kids, you have a husband, you have, dogs. So you have some things going on, right?
Yeah. Well, right now it just feels like such a time. What I do is I look around and see people that are spiritual and ministerial and, very, very well-meaning, but really looking to put the light out there and, be positive and look within. And this is a time of growth. And although it is, what really kind of bothers me sometimes with that is it doesn't leave any room for the dark. It doesn't leave any room for the person who is really heavy with this, and really having a hard time with it. And I think for me, it just takes me back, to a lot of times in my life where I've just felt dark and not necessarily depressed, but, dealing with sadness and dealing with those kinds of emotions. And, I think that we really need to make room for that for people, to constantly be bombarded with these positive thinking kinds of things. Like I said, although really well-meaning, can really cause some damage, I think, to people who don't feel that way, don't have that lightness and ability right now just to be looking beyond that.
Yeah, wow, so true. I've spent a lot of time in the dark in my life, and it has been difficult sometimes to hear people just talk about, listen, think positively, and on the bright side, and a lot of times you just you can't do it, and what you end up doing is feeling bad that you can't do it, right? So what does it offer how do people make room for their dark side?
Well, I feel like, it's really, for me, it's been about shame. It's been about, I want to show the happy face. I want to show the brightness and the lightness. And, even with Beacon of Light, sometimes I feel like that whole light thing is, for me, not misleading necessarily, but sometimes, I guess sometimes the way I operate is I'm not afraid to go into the dark. It was years ago, back when I was going through divorce, I went to a shaman and did a soul retrieval.
Mm.
Two spirit animals came up. It was the bat and the hummingbird.
Wow.
which are really, you know, two sides. And that sort of describes me. I'm kind of both ends of the spectrum. Lots of times people said I'm middle of the road, but it's really, I really feel both ends. You know, I mean, that is all about being able to navigate in the dark. It's rebirth, yes, but, you know, navigating in the dark and being able to come out of that and to know where you're going in the dark and not have that fear of it.
Wow.
So that was really meaningful for me. And then Hummingbird, again, is all about joy. So it was kind of interesting, you know, the dark and the joy, and how really you can put them together. And when you put them together and you think about, okay, I'm going to go down and I'm going to go within and I'm going to figure things out, that's down in the pits, that's down in the dark, you know, you're going down that rabbit hole.
Wow.
It can be really scary. And I think that right now that's where so many people are. They're kind of down in that rabbit hole and not really sure how to get out. And like I said, for me, it was so much about shame, and I shouldn't feel this way, and I can't show this part of myself to other people. And um, finally talking about that, and finally really releasing that piece, and saying, yeah, you know, I'm not always bright and cheery and sunshiny and all that, and it's okay. I deserve to be loved just as much as anyone else. And I think that's what sometimes people need to hear, that it's okay to go down that rabbit hole and to sort of search yourself and to accept and embrace that piece of yourself and realize that it's all about love. It's all about loving yourself even when you're there, you know?
Wow. Yeah, you know, that's my favorite subject. You know, how do we love ourselves even if we feel that we are unlovable, right?
Right.
Because often the experience out in the world will tell us that we are not unlovable. And that's that shame, right? That's that parallel of shame. One of the things also is that people might want to allow themselves to feel joy, because it's, for many people, it's hard to experience joy, because if you experience joy, it requires some kind of trust that the rug is not going to be pulled out from under you, especially if you're someone that has experienced that before. And having the rug pulled out from under you, being disappointed, actually generates shame, so that you've got your eye out for that kind of. And you know, I've lived that. It's kind of like, can I trust this? Is it okay for me to be happy? Because if I'm happy, I don't know who I'm going to be, you know, if I'm kind of used to hanging out in the dark. So it's, how do you be okay with both of those things?
Well, that's it. I think it is a balance. And I'm really glad that you said that, because it's, you know, I mean, think about the seed. Where does the seed go? The seed goes in the ground, in the dark, and all of a sudden it sprouts and it comes up. And, you know, and then it sees the light, and then it starts, you know, the beauty just comes from that. So just, I guess my thing is, just don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to say, you know, I feel like crap, or I really need, you know, and don't be afraid to reach out, and don't be afraid to talk to people and tell people, and allow people to see us, okay, with the masks off. The one time we can take that mask off right now, right? Um,
Yeah.
and let people see you, and let people see that, you know, maybe you're feeling pain or you're feeling bad. And then connect, connect,
Yeah.
you know, connect with that light and connect with that joy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's marvelous. One of the things that I know, and many of us do understand, is that this opportunity, this time of social distancing, is an opportunity for us to actually be a bit in the dark, right? Because we are not distracted out of the dark. Often we don't want to hang out in the dark because it's uncomfortable to
Right.
actually see what we haven't been willing to see before about ourselves, or how we've been operating in the world. We're kind of looking for authenticity. Where is this coming from? Is this useful anymore? And I think one of the things now is for us to really look and see, yeah, who have we been and who do we want to be moving forward, and to understand what's important and realize that maybe we've been giving our life to things that are just not important anymore. Um,
Right.
you know, and so one of the things that I'd like you to speak to maybe is, you talked about navigating in the dark. What does it mean to navigate in the dark?
Well, you know, I mean, I think just understanding that it's okay to be there for a while, not forever. I mean, obviously we're not going to all spend our lives there, but just to be, to acclimate yourself, to understand, okay, I'm here right now, but this isn't where I have to stay.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes we get stuck in that, okay, oh shit, you know, I went down the rabbit hole and I don't want to be there anymore and I'm scared. And then when we get into that fear place, it's hard to get out. So understanding that
Ah,
we're there, it's okay. I can be gentle with myself and I can know that I'm okay and loved. And I think that that's the big thing is when you're there and you're navigating in the dark, looking for that piece of yourself that you can really love, you know, looking for that, I guess, inner child, if you will, and taking that child's hand and walking.
yeah, it is about the inner child. It really is. Being that loving adult in the life of your inner child,
Mhm.
right? The life of your inner child that may be really needing some love or needed to have more love when you were a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can take responsibility for loving that child because that's what's necessary to
Right.
move forward out of those conversations that we might be a little bit stuck in,
Hmm.
that in adulthood don't really serve us, which is one of the great things about reaching out to people that
Yeah.
you can trust. And I'll tell you, and sometimes it is a minister, it is a coach, it is a counselor, because our friends and family can't always hear us because they're worried. You
Right.
know, they want us to be happy. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so sometimes, and I had to learn that I can't share sometimes my dark side, you
Right.
know, with
Well, and that's
folks.
it. And a
Yeah,
lot of us feel like we can't share that piece of ourselves because who wants to be around that? You know, but it brings me, you know, it sort of brings me back to Eeyore and his friends love him,
I
even though
love ER.
he's down in the dumps every once in a while, you know. And again, I'm not necessarily wanting to spotlight you know, that depression is a place to be or a place to stay or anything like that, because that's not it at all. But just understanding that when we're going through specific times and we have a specific situation that we're feeling badly about, we don't always have to put on this hugely.
Well, I think one of the things that you said is that people do associate that darkness, if you will, with depression,
Hmm.
right? And it isn't depression. If you're a little dark sometimes, it doesn't mean that. It means that you are allowing yourself to go within and see some things. And what I tell my clients is when you feel uncomfortable, come out, do something else. When you're ready, go back in. But to read things, pray, listen to some music, do something that will help you to move the energy through rather than just sit in the darkness and fear, because that's not helpful. And I think that is one of the things that we are being called, the light workers, if you will, are being called to kind of share with people. It's like, yes, this is a dark time. It will end. And what is our role now for us to kind of say, okay, yeah, this is dark right now, and what is it that I would like to see, not even what I need to see, sometimes like what would I like to see,
Yeah.
so that I can move forward through this and emerge, um, in the light, a more enlightened person, a more loving person. And as you well know, there is so much darkness in the world right now. There is so much darkness. People are kind of at each other's throat. And at the basis of that is fear, right? Is fear. And even though it sounds kind of Pollyanna when some people say it, it's kind of like, but love is the way to dispel fear. It just is.
Exactly. And
Just is.
loving yourself. You know, I think that that's that for me, that's so often the key to so much, you know, get, open it up, you know, those cracks that are in us, we're going to open that up and we're going to let that light come into the darkness. And yeah, that love piece and sharing that with other people, you know. And I go back to the whole bat and the hummingbird, you know, you can have those two total ends of the spectrum and bringing them together. And you know, you think about God, and where's God? God's everywhere. God's in the dark, God's in the light. And you know, search for that piece. And what is God? God is that love. God is that self-love, love for others, and let that love lead you out.
Yeah, it's fabulous, isn't it? Yeah, God made us with every emotion there is, right? And so when we don't allow ourselves to experience them all, we are kind of missing out on a portion of ourselves that God kind of intended for
Right.
us to call upon, right? Because our strengths are often found in the dark space. That's where you experience how strong you are
Got
and
it.
come out with all of this, the gift, the gift that you can actually be all of yourself, man, it's yummy. It's just such a beautiful.
Right. Well, there's a book that I'm actually working on, some work with the book study, The Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh.
Mm,
And that's exactly it, and in those, God is saying, I am here to live through you. I am here to live and feel all the emotions and have all the experiences, no matter what they are. I'm not just here to live one type of thing. I want to live all of that. So making room for that in our lives.
I love it. So what I want to do, because we're going a little short, what I'd like you to do, if you're interested, is I would like you to talk a little bit about Beacon of Light and
Okay.
kind of what you're providing, and then I'd like you to tell people how to reach out to you if that's something that you would like.
Sure. Well, you can always go to our website. We do have a website called beaconoflight.com. It's BeeCenoflight. And so all our services are there. We have ministerial services, all ceremonials, services, memorial services, and also energy work, trainings, things like that, and lots of book studies. I love doing those, and helping people grow in those areas, and spiritual coaching.
Yeah, wow.
Helping people, trying to help people through the experiences that I've had.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know you believe as I do that our experiences are kind of given to us, even though we may not like them, so that we can use them to help other people along the way who are where we were. And, one of the things is people think, but I have to be cured, or whatever it is. No, you have to be this far in front of the other person, like
Right.
this far, right?
Right.
And even if you're not this far, maybe you're right there, hold their hand and go through it together, man. It's like
And
the journey of life is universal. Oh my
exactly.
goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. I love you. All right. So last point of wisdom. What could you give people to go on? The last thing you want to say.
We're never alone. Whether it's someone else or whether it's the divine that's coming with us, we're never alone, no matter where we are.
Wow. How many people need to hear that?
Well, yeah.
How
And
many of us, we all need to hear it, but how many of us feel alone so much of the time?
exactly.
Yeah. And society is kind of built like that,
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. To be in in conflict, or in we're like competing against each other, but really what there is to be in connection with each other, because the connection will heal all that
Absolutely.
and take us up towards enlightenment. ah,
You got it.
Reverend Emma Beecken, I completely love you. And let me just say, I'm wearing the mala beads that you gave me for graduation. So thank you. I love you, sweetheart. You
Yay.
are amazing. All
Well,
right. So folks, thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope you use some of these fabulous, fabulous tools. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can do so at lane@lanecobb.com. And please join us again. We're so happy to be making a difference in your life. Thank you for giving us the opportunity and that space to do so. And I just want you to go in peace. Namaste, Reverend Emma Beecken.
blessings.
Namaste. Thank you so, so much. Amazing.